Well, we've reached that time of year again. The days are getting shorter, the nights are getting longer. The crisp fall air is outside, as well as the color change leaves that are either scattered on the ground or still trying to hang onto those branches high above. It's November. We've reached the holiday season. And in the United States, in November, there's a little special holiday that we like to celebrate. Like most good holidays, this one has a rather iconic meal that you can share typically only on this day with friends and family, as well as having a chance to reflect about the significance and why this holiday is important. That's right, you guessed it. Today we're talking about Oregon's Whale Explosion Day. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's HammerJ, and in today's episode we're going to talk about one of my favorite holidays to celebrate. Oregon's Exploding Whale Day. Seems like a rather fun holiday to celebrate, right? Well, it's more of a silly holiday to celebrate. It's one of those days you just kind of ask yourself, why? Why is this a thing? But hey, it's fun. I enjoy it. So much that my sister actually made me a plushie of a whale that explodes in order to celebrate today, or at the very least make a good conversation starter. Now, before we actually make a meal, or a snack I guess you can call it, because it's more of a snack than a meal, that I like to use to celebrate today's day, let's do a brief history about what exactly happened that caused today to be known as Oregon's Exploding Whale Day. So let's go back in time a little bit to, I believe, November 9th, 1970. There was a town called Florence that had a whale that just kind of died and beached itself and died, I guess, on their beach line, on their shoreline. So I guess up until this point, they really didn't have that issue. I guess whales just don't go there a lot and die. I don't know. I'm not a marine biologist by any means, so I don't know. But the point is, they had a dead whale that's about 45 feet long and about 8 tons just dead there on their beach. And it's starting to smell really bad. So they brought in a group of experts and they're like, how do we get rid of this whale? I don't know. How do we get rid of this whale? They really can't pull it out to the ocean and drag it because, dead whale's not really the strongest thing. They were afraid it'd kind of like fall apart. And then they have an even more disgusting scene to kind of clean up after. So they can't drag it out. They couldn't really bury it because they thought that the tides of the ocean would kind of unbury it and they'd still have a even more decayed dead whale to clean up after. So can't bury it. No one wanted to get close enough to like cut it up and throw it away that way. Throw it away, you know what I mean? So couldn't do that. How about we blow it up? Sure, seems logical, I guess. So okay. So a couple days go by, and they get everything all set up. So we're now on November 12th today, and then they use a bulldozer to kind of pivot the dead whale to be parallel to the ocean. And then on the inland side of it, they dug a little trench, and for a roughly 8-ton whale, they put about 12 crates, which makes about half a ton of TNT, on the inland side of it. And the plan was, I guess, they're going to try to blow the whale up either into the ocean or vaporize it to the point where anything that was left over from the TNT, things like crabs and seagulls, would be able to just kind of pick up the remaining small pieces because, nature has its own way of figuring things out, I guess. And they're like, yeah, that should work. Now, on this day, there was people watching, because I guess back in 1970, there really wasn't much going on, so people were like, hey, let's watch a whale blow up. Seems fun. Now, for their safety, they moved everyone back to about a quarter of a mile. Remember that number. 1/4 of a mile for their safety. Okay, seems good. So, okay, got your scene, got your whale, got your TNT, got the ocean. What could possibly go wrong? So there you go. 3, 2, 1. Boom. They explode the whale. Whale goes all over the place. They're like, cool, it worked. Until it didn't. Next thing you know, there's chunks of whale falling from the sky and people are now running in terror because these chunks are rather big chunks. So much to the point that a car about a half-mile away got crushed by a rather large piece of the tail. I believe it was the tail of the whale that just kind of fell. So yeah, that quarter of a mile didn't do anything. Luckily, I don't think anyone got hurt, but still, it makes a rather fun story. The point is, after that day, November 12th, 1970, I don't recall if there ever has been another whale that's beached itself upon the shores there. If they did, they at least knew what not to do with that kind of situation. But yeah, so that's the history of why today, November 12th, is known as Oregon's Exploding Whale Day. Now, with that in mind, you ask, how can we celebrate such a day? What could we possibly do to celebrate an exploding whale day, where chunks of whale, or blubber, you'd say, fell from the sky? I don't know about you, but I think I have an idea for this episode of Food Forage. Okay, as you can tell, this episode of Food Forage is going to be about blubber nuggets. Now, before we actually start making blubber nuggets, I want to make it clear that I did not come up with the idea or the concept or create blubber nuggets myself. That honor goes to the one and only Doug Dimmadome, owner of the Dimsdale Dimmadome. So, thanks, Doug, for giving us the idea of blubber nuggets so we can celebrate Oregon's Exploding Whale Day with them. Thanks, Doug. So, with that out of the way, I also want to make it clear that this is not my first time making blubber nuggets. I have made them in the past, last year for their 50th anniversary, but I kind of cheated a little bit. More on that in a second or two. Now, you might be asking yourself, HammerJ, how are you going to make blubber nuggets? Or more specifically, why are you going to make blubber nuggets? They sound kind of disgusting. And you're right. I mean, what's blubber? Whale fat. I don't know about you, but I really don't want to chew on whale fat. Sounds kind of gross. So instead, how about we make something that is chewy like blubber, because you know, blubber nuggets, they're chewy, but they're more edible and they just taste better than, say, whale fat. So what could we make that fills in that hole for blubber? You know, how about cookie dough? Cookie dough's chewy. People like cookie dough, right? I mean, at least I like cookie dough. You like cookie dough? Let's use cookie dough. So going back to what I said about cheating a little bit, last year I just kind of took those pre-made frozen ball like cookie doughs on a sheet, and I just kind of like dipped them into pancake batter, I guess, kind of like pancake batter, and then I deep fried it, and boom, last year's blubber nuggets. Don't look too bad, right? Kind of, pretty close, but I did cheat because I didn't make any of it. I just kind of assembled it and then deep fried it. So this year, I want to make it right by making our own blubber nuggets from scratch. Now, for all my culinary friends out there, or just anyone who knows me, knows that I am by no means a baker at all. So again, kind of like last episode of Food Forage, I didn't really look it up, and I think it'd be more entertaining if I just kind of wing it, per se. Kind of. I mean, I have a rough idea of what is in cookie dough. So, how bad can I possibly mess up? Right? We'll find out. Okay, so I used about 5 cups of flour, about 2 cups of sugar. I used about 2 tablespoons of baking soda, 3 eggs, cinnamon, I just did a nice dusting on top. Nutmeg, I did about the same. Vanilla extract, I was planning on about 1 tablespoon, but you know, things happen. And butter, I used about 2 cups. Okay, so now that I have everything in my bowl, let's see if you can see it for a little bit. See, it's all in there. Now that that's all in there, now we gotta just blend it out. And I'm pretty sure, given the 2 options I have, well, there's 3, but clearly it's not the bread one, unless it is the bread one. In that case, I'm sorry, everyone who knows. I'm pretty sure I need this one, I think. Positive. I don't know. maybe, kind of. We'll see. Okay, so now I put that on, lock that in place, and let's make some blubber nuggets. I mean, it looks like cookie dough. Maybe. It looks a little bit gooey though. Grab a spoon and try it. Skull. Yeah. It's still a little floury. But I think we made cookie dough. Okay, now that we have our cookie dough, our next step is we're going to deep fry it to give it, first off, a solid shape, because this cookie dough looks very melty so far, maybe. I mean, not melty, but just chewy, gooey, chewy. So I let this warm up a little bit. I just used vegetable oil because, you know, why not? And now we're going to just kind of ball up some of this cookie dough, I guess. I already washed my hands before anyone freaks out. I'm going to just ball up a little ball of a future blubber nugget. I mean, so far it looks pretty good. Smells good. So we got a dough ball. I'm going to just drop it in there. I think it's warmed up. Yeah, it's definitely warmed up. I thought the light was off for a second. Okay, so we have our future blubber nugget. I'm going to drop it in. It is now bubbling. And after a couple seconds, I'm going to use, I think this is called a spider web scoopy thingy. Yes, spider web scoopy thingy. We're going to use that to save our blubber nugget after it stops bubbling a little bit. So we'll see how this goes. Okay, so it is now out of the oil. I'm going to let that, it's going to soak off for a second. Let's soak off the, it's still really doughy, so we might need to put it back in for a second. Ouch. Yeah, it's still gooey, so let's put it back in. Okay, maybe. I think we need to do something a little different. Because right now it's just falling apart. So, 1 second. Okay, so all that you're missing is I added another cup of flour and blended it a little bit more. And as you can tell, it got a little bit thicker because the machine wanted to shake a little bit. Okay, so I added more flour. I plugged in the deep fryer again. It's warmed back up. Let's try it again. Let's see if we can make some blubber nuggets. So again, I washed my hands before I got to this point. We're going to remake a ball. Nice little blubber nugget ball. This one seems denser. Still seems good. And let's make a blubber nugget. So far, so good. Now, what I do remember from last year is I don't want them to be completely cooked all the way through. We just want them to soak in for just long enough to make like a shell, I guess. Because you still want it to be chewy, because if you want blubber nuggets to be one thing, they're chewy. And they're floating, so just take it out. Let it go to its little paper mat thing. Let it kind of cool off a little bit. Just let it roll around. This one feels like it's going to hold up pretty good. I might have made it too big. Looks pretty good. I mean, it's cracking a little bit. But hey, a blubber nugget. Blubber nuggets. They're chewy. Wow, they're really chewy. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to just make my blubber nuggets and I'll be right back. Cool.
A few moments later.
And just like that, between some flour, sugar, butter, and the help of Doug Dimmadome, owner of the Dimsdale Dimmadome, I'd say that we were able to successfully make some blubber nuggets. After I let them cool off a little bit, I was able to put them in their proper packaging. Because nothing says blubber nuggets like a whale head. But all in all, I think they turned out pretty well. I will say that the smaller ones seem to hold their shape better than the bigger ones. I think the bigger ones were just too much. Or they didn't cook all the way through. But hey, according to Blubber Nuggets online, or at least through the Fair Lab Parents, I say that looks pretty close to a blubber nugget, in my opinion. Not bad. So, let's see how blubber nuggets taste. Let's go. Oh yeah. Definitely still chewy, which is good. The flavor's good. I mean, you're essentially just eating cookie dough. But, oh wow. That's really chewy. I'm going to save that one for later. But all in all, I think that turned out pretty good. As far as my official HammerJ score goes, blubber nuggets, as long as you like cookie dough and chewy things, and things that may or may not be good for your health, I'd say this is a Dimmadoo. So, once again, this has been HammerJ with another Food Forge episode of Blubber Nuggets. Thank you, Doug Dimmadome, again, for helping me figure out what to make. And happy Organic Exploding Whale Day. So if you like what you saw, hit that like button down below. And if you want to see some more interesting and unique content in the future, maybe hit the subscribe button too. So that's the end of this video today, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Until then, see ya.